Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Haunt Talk. On today's episode we're going to be talking about Trail of Nightmares in Ontario, Ohio, which is very close to Mansfield. Before we get into the review, I'm just going to talk about a couple things. For one, if you haven't subscribed to our channel already, please do so. Make sure to like the video. Also, if you check us out on Facebook and Instagram. We also have done a documentary on haunted houses. So you're watching this, you're obviously into haunted houses at least somewhat. It's completely free on YouTube. Links down below. And we're also trying to raise enough money to start a second haunted house documentary to cover more things like hayride trails we haven't already. There's a video completely talking about everything we want to do in that. Description is also in the video down below. But that does it for that. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started into the review.
Alright, so Trail of Nightmares. First off, it was very confusing when we pulled in because it was behind a storage locker place.
Yeah, it's like big, like Storage Wars kind of.
Yeah, it was
place.
like we weren't sure if we were in the right place.
Yeah,
but
I mean there were signs, but like we saw it was a trail, and then there's like this big building, and we're like, wait, it looks like a haunted house, but
yeah.
The trail's like off to the side. So when you get there, you're in the right place.
Yeah.
You are in the right place. We just kind of found this place on a whim.
Mm-hmm.
So we were going to a different haunted house, and we're like, we want to do another one. So we just searched, and we saw this place on Facebook, and we're like, well, we'll go ahead and give this a try on our way. And I'm glad we did.
Yeah,
definitely. We did. Yeah. Like I said, it is a trail course, so it's pretty much all outdoors. So if it's like a rainy night or whatever, you might want to make sure they're open.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little bit rainy when we went, but I mean, it wasn't a downpour.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So first up is design. For design, we gave this place an 8.5.
They had a lot of really cool sets and like houses that you'd have to go into and things like that along this trail. And they were really well done. Our only complaint is that some of the lighting could have been a little bit better. There was one scene where this thing attacks and you could barely see it. I don't want to spoil it, but it definitely needed a light on it.
Yeah, and that's just the main thing. Is like there's a lot of really cool scenes. I think they just maybe need a little extra polish. And I mean, they do have full electricity back there. Some of the lighting was, most lighting was okay, but it could have been done a little bit better with a little bit more finesse. There are spots that it was done really well, but there were also some spots where I'd say it was a little bit bland.
Yeah,
but
they used it to their advantage in some spots too. Like we did get quite scared in one spot because the lights kind of like mysteriously turned off.
Yeah, and then there might be a surprise waiting for you.
Yeah.
I will say, I mean, obviously an 8.5 is a pretty high score. You know, we didn't know what to expect going into this place, and I actually thought the place was about over, and then we realized that we hadn't even really gone through half of it yet, and like the first half of it, there isn't a lot. Actually, it's mainly just walking through a trail with like one or two little scenes spread out. But then like the second half, it's like scene after scene after scene.
Yeah.
And we were talking about a full-blown church, a town, a mine, the whole funhouse thing. Like I was surprised to see all of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really surprising considering what we thought it would be. Because I mean, we were going in thinking, oh, it's just going to be a haunted trail with a few little things and some actors in the woods and stuff. But this was actually really well done. Like, I was really surprised in what was back there.
Yeah, and there's I like how there's scenes where like they actually stop you, like the church and the possession house and stuff, where you actually like you go in and you're locked in there and you have to watch a whole scene unfold, you know, and then there's like a certain type of scare thing. I really like that. A lot of haunted houses is like you just walk by the scenes as they're happening, and like they don't take time to stop you and really let the scene envelop. And I mean this haunt is also not like super popular yet, so they have the luxury of sending in smaller groups and being able to have scenes take their time.
Yeah, we were sent in just us two.
Yeah,
so it was nice because we only a couple times ran into the next group,
and that was usually because they just got held in a thing, so we'd see them and then we get held. I think that they were going really slow too, because they sent us in like about 4 minutes, I think, probably after they got
was like 4 or 5 minutes between, so it was a pretty good lag.
And I've read other reviews, and that's something people complain about, is like they were in line for a really long time because, you know, how much time they put between each group, which, I mean, you know, if it's a long line, it's hard to like judge on that because you have like it's like pick your poison. It's like, do you want to go to a place where the line's not long, but you're being pumped through? Like when we talked about, if you've seen our Field of Screams review, is a good example. And then no one gets scared because there's just a huge conga line through the haunted house. Or do you want to wait in line for 2 hours in a not that long line so you can actually get a really good experience when you get into the haunted house? You know, I mean, you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
That's why I get there. That's why I get places early. Like, I just recommend getting places before, an hour after they've opened or more. Like, if you really, really don't like waiting in line and also want a good experience, get there early. That's really the best solution. Or buy fast passes. This place doesn't offer that, but still.
So the next one we're doing is actors. We gave them a 9. They were really good. Like, they stayed in character really well.
Yeah.
They were hidden very good. There were scenes like they really executed them really well.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about the only problem I had about the actors when we just got out of the way. There's times where we come up to a scene and like the actors had followed the people in front of us, and there's times, and this happened about 2 or 3 times, where the actors weren't quite back in their scene, and like we could tell that they were kind of surprised by us. We're like, oh, they didn't really realize we were coming by yet.
Yeah.
And so they were kind of like, oh, and you could kind of tell they were like a little taken back. But that happened a couple times. It wasn't a big deal because, again, they stayed in character, and a lot of them had interesting lines of dialogue and stuff like that.
Yeah. There was a house that had a bunch of dolls in it, and I do remember as we're walking out, the woman, she goes, "Oh, she's got baby doll hair. I love it," as I'm walking out of the house, which I was like, oh, okay, that's creepy. But it was effective because, her house was filled with baby dolls. So that was really cool. And there were quite a few other people that were just like they were following us and they were staying in character and just making snarls and just like the one actually helped with the other group was still in the area. I do remember this. When we were going to the church, I think it was, the demon stood in front of the door and wouldn't let us go in because obviously something was happening in the church and he didn't want to spoil it. So he stood in front, and mind you, this guy was really tall. And so he just stood in front of it and just stood there and waited. And it was like, oh, okay, I guess we can't go in.
And there was even like a little girl who had like a little teddy bear, like a little evil teddy bear. She was cool.
Oh, yeah.
The circus people had us play games and stuff. That was neat.
Yeah, that was fun.
But yeah, so the actors, they were really good. Next thing up is scare factor. We gave this a 7.5, and as we said before, places don't have to be that scary to be good. And this place does have jump scares, but it's not a real high intensity place. This place isn't like built really to induce panic. And there were kids there, so this is a good place if you have some younger kids. You can bring them there. 'Cause, I mean, it's still enough for the adults for sure. That you're going to get scared, but the actors also seem timid enough to where they know, this isn't like, the haunted hoochie type of thing where you're just being attacked by people,
Yeah, I didn't hear anybody say any profanities or anything like that. So it seems kind of family friendly, maybe. So, I mean, we got scared a couple times, but overall, I mean, yeah.
Like I said, not super scary. There's lots of creepy scenes and really good atmosphere in that. For what it is, I think it does what it wants to do perfectly, for scare-wise. It wants to be scary enough to where you are for sure on a trail and they get you sometimes, but not so scary where, people are freaking out and breaking down and crying and stuff type of thing, which some places are like that. But this place, again, if you want a good place to maybe take the kids, that might not be too much for them. I think this place is a pretty good option. And, I mean, even if you don't have kids, I'd still recommend it. It's good.
So next, we're doing value, and we gave them a 10. Yeah. It was $15.
Yeah, we were in there for at least 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Because like I said, 15 minutes through, I'm like, okay, it's about done. That was good length. And then I realized you weren't halfway through, and that's where all the really good stuff is, the second half. I was amazed by how much, and there's room for them to keep building on things, and I'm sure they will as well, because like I said, the first half, I won't say it's empty, but compared to the second half, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, and $15, my God, like that's a really good price for this. I'm sure that they'll hike it up throughout the years as they develop. And I mean, even like, if they add a couple more things, I think $20 is still really fair for what you're getting, because it's a long haunt, and I mean, it's in the woods, there's a lot of interactivity. I think that the value is really good. I would for sure check this out, especially at the $15 price range, and it's really close to Mansfield, so if you're going there for Blood Prison, this is like 15 minutes away. Give them a try too, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. If you go to Mansfield on a night where it's like a 4-hour wait, maybe go there because you won't be disappointed. At least, you know, use it to do something. So that brings us to our overall score, and we gave them an 8.5. It's a really good haunted trail. And I don't like haunted trails usually that much, but I think this place is really good. And given it a couple years, it's going to be up there some of the best, I really honestly believe.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's already pretty close now. Like I said, I mean, they add a little bit better lighting, a few more cool scenes, you know. I mean, it needed a few more actors. The actor's really good, but I think it could have done with a couple more, you know. I think that it, like I said, is up there with some of the best. I was really pleasantly surprised by this place.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you're in the area, we highly recommend checking it out.
So that's it for this episode. Please make sure that you like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, check out our Facebook and Instagram. If you like the music that we play at the beginning and the end, it's done by Jerry Vayne. He is known as the Haunt Rocker. He makes some really cool, different haunted house music. If you like, you know, rock and roll, listen to it. It's really cool. He's got a new album out. If you want, download it. And don't forget to check out our GoFundMe for our new documentary we want to make. If you haven't watched the first one, Haunt Behind the Scare, it is available on our YouTube channel. Check it out. And that's it. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for watching.